Hello, Boker Tov, Simcha Milner, Yom Tov. I want to comment on you. First of all, you accused me of deleting your comments. I want to tell you I never deleted comments, any comment that has any sense in it. And even though my friend said sometimes Zionist post-comments, I've been doing this 10 years already, and Zionist post-comments, Christians post-comments, Muslims post comments. If it's anything with any tip of sechel in it, I don't delete it. There's some comments just curse, makalel, and those I do delete, but there's not too many, very few, from mostly Zionists, Christians, Muslims. They sometimes makalel, but the chutz mizah, I don't delete anything. And I try and answer everything if it has any sechel in it. I want to tell you a story that somebody has a blog, it is maybe a YouTube channel, and he's into techelis. He's a big kanoi on this Murex techelis. So I put something up, and meanwhile, first time I ever looked at all the things he's put up for all the time, and he brings from the Merkaz Daf Hayomi, Rav Stefansky, he must bring 40 clips where he talks about techelis. So I looked at it. Interesting. There's two Gemaras in Shabbos that are very hard to answer that make about the trapping that make techelis, what they call techelis, impossible. And according to the Shulchan Aruch and many Rishonim, but the Shulchan Aruch paskins, it's impossible. These two Gemaras he didn't put up. I'm going to write him or put a comment on it. Okay. Number one. Number two, on the Indian of Shalosh Shavuos, somebody said, you have to look at this. He wrote me. And it's by a very smart boy. He makes a good impression. He wrote a book for art schools. I don't want to mention his name now, but you can find it easily. He wrote a mimer, Shalosh Shavuot. He put a YouTube up. You could find it. It's got already 2,500 views. And he speaks good, and he seems like a smart boy. He might even be a Talmud Chacham. Now, what did he do? All the reasons why the Shalosh Shavuot are no good. Now, he brought 4 or 5 very strong proofs. Now, all of these proofs that he brought, the Satmar Rebbe talks about in Vayom Moshe. This is honesty. Bring what the Satmar Rebbe says this, and this is how we slug it up. But he leaves out the Satmar Rebbe's answer. This is not the way this is a person with an agenda and not machapes emes. And I hope Hashem should help me that I should be a machapes emes. Now, the only thing I see in these new comments you put up are about Rav Menahem Kasher's 700-page book and Kol HaTorah, which there's a lot to say about, but I'll say a little bit now. And if you, like I said, I didn't delete anything. For some reason, they didn't go through. Print them up again, and I'll be very happy to answer you. If I have an answer, if I don't have an answer, I'll tell you I don't have an answer. Now, I'll tell you the first thing I had to do, the first I ever heard was when I was at Yaled Tov, California. I used to sit in Breslov, the Breslov Shul, many hours, and then look at different books. Now, I saw a book there. It was called, I didn't know the name of it. It came back to me later. Somebody told me about it. Emes Idlatzmo. You can find it now on the internet. And he talked about Menahem Kasher's book. By the way, before we go into Menahem Kasher, some people say like this. What kind of it? Look at his son. His son is a big small knee. Could be some Apicorus. I think his name is Asa Kasher. He's a big intellectual in the Medina. That's his son. I say, no, you can't say like that. They say the pre doesn't fall far from the eights. So the Ger Rebbe, the Beis Yisrael, Zocha the Bibai, he said, is true it doesn't. But when there's a storm wind, the tree does end up far from the eights. So I don't hold this against him. And we'll judge him. Now this book I found in the Beis Knesset Breslov, it was against Rav Menahem Kasher's book. So I started looking. I'd never heard of these things. I was in Yaled Tov, California. I never heard of these things. But I started looking at the book. He says, here's what he writes in the book. He quotes a midrash. And here is the real midrash. He misquoted it. It was shocking that he's got a big agenda, Rav Menahem Kasher, and then it was a whole book like that. And I put it there, and the book disappeared, and that's it. Now, a few years ago, I got interested, maybe more than a few years ago, I got interested in this sugi of the Summer Rebbe, and I got interested in this. So somebody told me the name of the book, and I went to the library where I used to go before Corona. 1 second. Yeah, somebody called the Kitzer. Where was I holding about this book, Emes Idlatzmo? So I went to the Hebrew University, where I used to go in those days, once a week or once every 2 weeks, and I looked for it, and the book was stolen. It was a very powerful book. And meanwhile, I asked the librarian there, it's been stolen. The book was stolen out of every library in Israel. Interesting. It was too hard for these people. It was against Kol HaTorah, and which Rabbi Kasher put in his book, and his own book also, which was a huge book. Okay, that's the thing. Meanwhile, I found out about it. Rabbi Yoel Elchanan mentioned it, and I contacted him, and he got me a copy of it. Now, Emes Idlatzmo, you could find anywhere. You can find online. So, no big thing if you're interested. He tears apart Rabbi Kasher. Very strong. And also Kol HaTorah. Kol HaTorah, you can also, if you want to know about the Sefer Kol HaTorah, Ziyuf, the Gedolei Yisrael were against it. They said it's a Ziyuf. It's not written by the person who was supposedly a Talmid of the Gra. He wasn't a Talmid of the Gra. And he didn't come to Israel. He came to Israel later for, I think he was at legal problems. He came maybe 40 years later. The kid says a lot about Rav Moshe Sternbach has a tshuva, that it's not true. They use other words, many things. If you write me again, and you send, I'm going to talk about it. Meanwhile, I'll tell you a story from the beginning of it. He brings a long letter, Menahem Kasher, signed by 100 of the Gedolei Ador, that the Medina should out or Zocha, we should be Zocha and have Mashiach, that the Medina is Reish Smichas Gula Seinu. And 200 people signed on it, which people that you wouldn't expect to sign it. Now, there's another person who I spoke to a couple of times, a lawyer. His name is Zvi Weinman. And he was the chief rabbi of Berlin, he was a lawyer, a Toin Rabbani. And I called him, I spoke to him a couple of times. He wrote a book that's also online now, Mi Katovitz, where they founded the Agudas Yisrael, Ad He'ir, until Medina. No, it's a very interesting book. I haven't read it, but I glanced at it a little bit. Okay. Now, he researched this book of Rav Kasher. Now, the first thing in the book, this letter from the Gedolei Yisrael, like I said, that it's the Roshis Smichas Gula Seinu. Now, he researched it. He went in. The original letter said a different lashon. He never said it's Roshis Gula. He changed the nusach of it. These people didn't sign. They mentioned it's opportunity to find it, but if you ask me, I'll look for it. I'll put it up next time. Now, about all the people that signed it, he sent it out, Rabbi Kasher, to 200 Rabbanim. And he wrote there, if you don't answer, we're going to print your name up. And anybody said you agree to this letter, which was not such a strong letter. You read it now. He changed the letter. And a lot of the people never answered it, so they apparently signed the list. And on the list of the people that signed it, you will see there's a rabbi there, the name is in the book there, that died 2.5 years before he signed the letter. And so that's an example of the kind of business that Menahem Kasher did. Okay, and if you write more, you said, the things that I deleted, I didn't delete anything again. And I wouldn't delete anything from a secular person like you. And I would try and answer if I had an answer. Okay, be well, Yom Tov, Kol Tov. By the way, most of the material on the Menahem kasher, a lot of the material I got, is from Rav Yirmiyahu Cohen. He wrote a book. I'm putting the picture of the book on the thing here. And he did a lot of the research, so I want to give him credit that it's not my Bekias. And if I write more, it's not my Bekias. I'll put a picture up now. Kol Tov.